And would you say the channel's ready for AI?
They're ready for everything. I've been involved in the channel since I was 20 years old. All the time, the thing that I think stands out more than anything is the ability to reinvent, to learn, and to understand the latest trends. That's one thing that has never ever changed in all those years, and we're very, very proud of that.
Welcome to a special edition of In the Spotlight with Quocirca, brought to you in partnership with Microsoft Universal Print. The theme of the series is technology innovation in the print industry in the era of AI. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Nancy Powell and Neil Sawyer from HP. We'll be discussing the intersection of sustainability and AI and how HP is driving innovation across its business. So welcome to the show, Nancy and Neil. If we could start with some introductions.
Well, thank you, Louella. I'm Nancy Powell. I'm UK and I HP Sustainability Lead. Good to be here.
My name's Neil Sawyer. I'm Managing Director for Northwest Europe that covers UK and Ireland, our Nordic and Benelux area at HP.
Okay, well, welcome to the show. It's great to have you both here today. So we're going to start discussing AI first. AI is really evolving at breakneck speed, and our research shows that over 80% of organisations are increasing their investment in AI. However, we're also seeing that there are some challenges with AI in terms of organisations needing to separate and navigate the reality from the hype. How is HP helping its customers on that journey and really helping them identify genuine business opportunities for AI?
AI has been around for a long time, and I think oftentimes we forget that because the emergence of generative AI is, of course, an evolution from the AI that's integrated into all the technology and products that we use, both at home and within the workplace. Our job at HP is to ensure that we design the right technology to deliver an AI experience that's suitable for all, whether it be at home or in the workplace. We're responsible for designing the technology and ensuring that it's secure and people feel safe and able to use generative AI in whatever use case that they want to, knowing that we have a very strong cybersecurity platform that underpins it. But the other part of it as well is ensuring that our technology is designed, whether it be from a computing product or through to our printing solutions and also the software solutions that underpin that. Our duty is to make sure that we continue that research and development and innovate on behalf of all of our customers to ensure that they get the best outcomes and it's future ready in terms of the design of technology that we bring to market.
Just to pick up on that in terms of future-ready technology, so with HP's AI PCs, we have one here on display, and I think what we're expecting to see is this real technology upgrade cycle due to end-of-life Windows 10, which is October 2025, and also a surge in upgrades because of the post-pandemic technology refreshes. Do you think AI PCs will reignite demand in the PC market? And could you maybe explain some of the differentiators around HP's AI PCs?
In answer to your question, absolutely. It will drive interest. There's no doubt about it. It is already the case that it is driving interest because we're talking about it today, of course. But think of it a bit like this, is that, in terms of mobile technology, smartphones, yes, of course, there was the original discussion about whether something's 3G or 4G or 5G capable. Today, it's just an expectation that your smartphone is going to connect to the best and fastest, most possible network. Well, it's the same with AI technology embedded into the device. It'll become commonplace, and with our partnerships with AMD and Intel and Qualcomm with their Snapdragon processors, then they are innovating, and we will integrate their innovations into all of our products moving forward. So every customer that buys HP technology moving forwards will have that generative AI capability through 2025 and well beyond. And just the point around refreshing tech and Windows 10 and into Windows 11, that's a point in time, and oftentimes that is the reason why many businesses and customers might choose to upgrade. But importantly, it's about making sure that we integrate the technology needs, not just for today, but for the 2, 3, 4, 5 years and beyond, while they have that technology. And again, that's something that we are very committed to doing. And we will see that in our roadmap of technology that's coming through this year and beyond.
Yeah, and I think, just to pick up really on these AI PCs, because one of the main differentiators is around the NPUs, and the NPU essentially allows that local inferencing on device. Do you think consumers are ready to actually adopt these technologies?
The technology evolves, the software solutions evolve, the connectedness evolves. The NPU, or the neural processor unit, effectively is a dedicated component within the device that allows for on-device intelligent thinking or generative AI thinking. You can also have generative AI capabilities in the graphics processing unit and the main CPU in the product. But what we're designing is and ensuring is that we have a dedicated generative AI capability in the neural processing unit. And of course they will improve over time, but with the innovation alongside our processing partners, the ones I've mentioned earlier on, then absolutely there'll be continual evolution. And at some point in time, I'm sure over the next couple of years, it will just be expected that those are the components that are needed to deliver the experiences that our customers at home and in businesses expect. And that's our job, is to continue to invent and evolve our products to meet those requirements.
Yeah, and I think, there's always going to be different personas, aren't there, within an organisation in terms of their requirements for AI. So you'll have the power users and maybe the users that don't use all the AI capabilities. And I think it's going to be interesting to see within organisations what percentage of their fleet will actually be upgraded to AI devices. And really on that point around upgrades, so I think, with any new technology refresh, there's always a potential environmental cost because, especially given the fact that so many organisations are looking to refresh their devices. And this could lead to a mountain of e-waste. And I know HP is very focused on driving circularity around its products. Could you tell us a bit about how HP is addressing some of those requirements?
Absolutely. I mean, the AI PC, like others, all the hardware actually for HP are designed very much with, not just through the manufacturing stage, but thinking about disassembly, thinking about repair and the ease of doing those things. The materials that go into our devices and our hardware very much are thought with sustainability in mind. The AI PC has got our first 50% recycled copper, in fact, in its heat plate. And other materials, lots of ocean-bound plastic and all of that thought that goes into the design process. But the point you make around the refresh cycle, there are all kinds of different solutions now that are coming on stream that are really making a refresh cycle and people thinking about the longevity of their fleets very elastic in the way that they think about it. Renew is a program that we're really excited to be welcoming to the UK market soon, which is very much looking at different solutions for hardware at the end of its life. It could be that you extend the life of the device with device lifecycle extension. It has an extra year's warranty, it's repaired, it's refreshed, it goes back into use. It could be that you use proactive insights to understand, to that point around personas, how are the devices within your organisation currently being used? Where is the compute power that you want? Is it allocated in the right way? Refresh the devices and redistributing in that sense. We work with partners to certify them, to ensure that the refurbished devices that come through some of our channel partners meet HP standards, back under warranty, and you have that, really seamless experience of service and warranty. And I think that's probably the sort of exciting things for our circularity target for 75% circularity by 2030 is that the lateral solutions now that are able to be offered to our customers and our end users around how they really think of that end of life. There's recycling, but that really is the absolute backstop of how we think about, that first life, that second life, that third life. So it's a really, really exciting space.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting in terms of how organisations are going to want to have those recycling opportunities for their existing fleet when they do upgrade them. And just interesting, because we were talking about print a bit earlier, so is there anything you can share around the print circularity and the devices? Because I know HP Renew is mainly focused on PCs, is that right? Or is it going to be covering print as well?
It's covering all hardware within the HP portfolio. Okay. It's coming initially to the market in terms of laptops, but all of the innovations that have been thought through for laptops, for desktops, exist also for print. In fact, I think many of the innovations initially around Renew devices came from the print side of our business.
I'm pleased you said that, because that is one point that is critical to get across, is that, you know, circularity is not new in our industry, and actually there are so many learnings that we have taken from, you know, the traditional print market, who are famed for bringing devices in, refurbishing them, and finding second homes for them. And there's so many learnings that we've taken from that and applied to HP's Renew programs that we have today, and we're developing, making sure that they're future ready for tomorrow and years to come as well.
I mean, it probably all comes actually from print supplies. The Planet Partners program in 1982 really is the sort of genesis upon which all of this circularity then has been built. You know, innovation, replacing soldering with screws, and really thinking about the design. I mean, that all has its foundations in programs that are decades old.
Yeah, it's interesting that the Planet Partners was one of the first, or was the first program for recycling of cartridges. And as you say, circularity is really well embedded in the print industry. So it's great to hear that HP is leveraging that into the PC environments now.
Planet Partners is hardware, it's absolutely everything now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fantastic program.
1982 was many decades ago, so I mean it's difficult for us to remember the time that was launched, but we know it's been around a long time, even from when I was a young child. So you know.
I think before that, I think the original program was a punch card system of recycling at Palo Alto. I mean, it really was, you know, back in the day.
Yeah,
it's
so
incredible.
I think, it's great to see that the PC industry can learn from the print industry, really, in that sense. One thing that we're seeing is, with our research, we do a lot of research around sustainability adoption on both PC and print side, and we're seeing a growing concern around greenwashing, and I don't think it's just specifically in the print industry. I think, you know, as individuals as well in our business lives, we're more conscious of greenwashing from suppliers. How is HP addressing that? Because I think there's a real need for any company to validate their claims and really show more transparency around their green claims, and I know that's something very important to HP.
Yeah, I mean, would 100% agree with that. Before I was in tech, I was in the food industry, and that clarity around what you're saying to the consumer and making sure that people are clear and understand and you're not obfuscating is absolutely important. I think, you know, one of the things we were talking about at our recent kickoff was the heritage in reporting. And I suppose for me, thinking about sustainability, thinking about green claims, that putting information into the public domain and being comfortable and willing to do that over 24 years is really a starting point for that. I think we can always kick the tires on making sure that what is a very complicated subject and has multiple different themes to it, that we're communicating that with our partners and our customers very clearly. And there are lots of different standards now that I think really help those partners and consumers and end users understand. You know, you have the Science-Based Target Initiative, which is very much sort of saying, you know, we're not just publishing targets, somebody else is scrutinizing those targets, assessing them, understanding whether what you're aspiring to is realistic and probable. There are things like that. One of the things that HP takes incredibly seriously is third-party indices, whether it's EcoVadis that we've participated in for 14 years and been platinum, whether it's CDP that we've been triple rated for the last 5. These are the sort of assurances of other voices that can, you know, lend an awful lot of credibility. We know when we talk to our customers the importance of eco labels. You know, they really do cut through and provide a fast-track understanding of, you know, everything that's in that 200-page report. Somebody else has had a look at it and having that report again audited and that kind of thing. So I think, you know, really welcome the scrutiny. I think HP holds itself to pretty robust standards. But I'd flip that round slightly and say that, this is definitely something I feel, and I would say this, that we should be talking about within the channel, with our customers, openly and freely. And we wouldn't want people to feel anxious about communicating on climate issues, on sustainability issues, because of fear of greenwashing. So yes, we definitely need to get it right, but let's not stop the conversation would probably be, how I would feel about that.
And I think that's a really important point, because then you get into green hushing and,
Exactly.
Keeping those things not public because, the fear of greenwashing. And I think it's
sticking your head above the parapet, exactly.
Yeah, and have you got anything to add to that, Neil, in terms of, do you feel that within the print environment there's still opportunity to provide better data around the actual carbon footprint of printers? Because I think we again see that with our research, is that there's still a lack of understanding on the actual carbon footprint of a printer, because it also includes the paper, the ink and the cartridges. So I'd be interested in your thoughts on that.
The important point is yes, that there always needs to be consistency, particularly with our channel partners and also our salespeople at HP that manage clients and are managing their questions. And oftentimes the comparisons can be different from one manufacturer to the next, and that's because ultimately the way in which HP scrutinises our environmental footprint is very tight, and we're very proud of that. And we believe that we set the standard in terms of measuring the environmental contribution or footprint of our technology. But I think equally what we need to make sure we do is we have our customers who can understand and measure their own outputs as well, because the point I think we always need to address and continue to address is HP have our environmental standards and credentials and programs that we put out in the marketplace with our partners. But equally, our customers have oftentimes an industry agenda or a specific company agenda themselves. And what we need to do as an industry is make sure that we comply and understand what our customers' drivers are, because sometimes they can be different compared to what we're trying to do in our own supply chain and manufacturing cycle. So having the two working in unison with each other is really, really important.
In terms of sustainability, it's almost like a two-pronged approach, because companies like HP need to demonstrate their own environmental credentials, but also need to demonstrate that they can help their customers achieve their sustainability goals. And you mentioned the channel there briefly in the last question, and I think the channel is absolutely critical to HP. You've got such a broad and diverse channel ecosystem. In terms of sort of going back to AI, because I know HP have just launched HP Amplify AI in terms of training and certification. Can you talk a bit about how pivotal the channel is to HP and how you're training and supporting them to address these new opportunities for your customers?
Yeah, well, speaking of the 1980s, then HP defined the channel in 1984. That is, the channel in the United Kingdom and Ireland wouldn't exist without the creation of distributors and that channel reseller model. And we're really, really proud of that. When you look at 40 years on, 41 years, the channel is alive and kicking, and it's brilliant. It's the heartbeat of our business. The thing that we love about our channel partners is they continually invent and evolve according to what their customers are asking them to do. And we ask our partners to evolve as well. And, the Amplify AI insights and program work that we're putting together is about supporting our partners and educating their people so that they can be confident and competent in having a conversation with their clients around generative AI. But it's also about bringing tools to those partners so that they can understand the opportunities that present themselves. A lot of the time, a year is very fast-paced in our industry, as you know. Imagine going back 5 years and understanding which customers bought which products and how you're going to approach that customer again to buy again from you. Well, that's our duty as well as our partners' duty to come together in partnership and deliver better outcomes through better insights and intelligence, but also making sure that we educate the 100,000 plus people that represent customers every day through the channel on behalf of HP, to ensure that they represent technology conversations and HP's technology proposition effectively and deliver strong outcomes.
And would you say the channel's ready for AI?
They're ready for everything, always. And, I say that with confidence. I've been involved in the channel since I was 20 years old. And all the time, the thing that I think stands out more than anything is the ability to reinvent, to learn and to have conversations and to understand the latest trends. That's one thing that has never, ever changed in all those years with our channel partners, and we're very, very proud of that, and it will always be a huge part of the way in which we operate as a business.
And I wanted to pick up on HP Amplify Impact, because that's a very well established and successful program for HP in terms of sustainability. Can you share some insights around how that works and how channel partners are being accredited?
Absolutely. I mean, it very much, leans into what Neil was just describing, is that we have this unique sort of setup where we have these very close working relationships with other businesses and the ability to learn collectively, move forward collectively. And on an agenda like sustainability, that's an incredible advantage, that you can share the insights of different businesses and learn and move forward quicker as a result. Amplify Impact it's a program that's only been around actually for 3 years, but it feels like many more because of the impact that it's generated. And I think globally there's nearly 4,000 partners who are part of that program, and key partners in the UK and Ireland are, really intrinsically melding Amplify Impact and their approach to sustainability into the relationships and the customers conversations that we're having. There are all kinds of different elements to it, but a large aspect of it is really us open sourcing the materials that we learn from and train ourselves on and use as kind of thought leadership around sustainability and made available to the channel. And we can offer training, we can offer all kinds of different materials. We also encourage sustainability within the sales process to make sure that it is a conversation that people feel able to have with customers, and that the hardware attributes that we've spoken about, that filters all the way through to the conversations that sales teams are having with customers. But it's also, it's a program that can go in multiple different directions, and we've recently started engaging quarterly on thought leadership conversations. So how do we bring us collectively together and actually address some issues that feel particularly pertinent to the UK and Ireland here and now as a collective? And it's a really, really fantastic program. To have those close working relationships with partner businesses is something we all benefit from.
Yeah, and I think one of the great aspects of HP Amplify Impact is that it recognises that sustainability is very closely tied to commercial performance.
Yeah.
And I think the channel partners recognise that, and they're looking for those opportunities. And I think it's not just propositions around hardware devices, but also software solutions and services. Would you agree with that, Neil?
Yeah, absolutely. I often think of recordings like this, because imagine if you didn't know what the channel was. And I remember my first interview in this industry, and I was asked to present about the channel, and I thought, goodness, what is the channel? And I then came to realise it was this living and breathing tectonic plate that drives the IT industry both nationally and globally. And when it comes to services and solutions, of course, that's the biggest differentiator for our partners that are selling complex IT systems and services into the wide array of industries that they represent. So with some of our partners, they have their own services and solutions capabilities, but we also recognise there are thousands of partners out there that lean more on HP to ensure that we can support them and deliver these services and solutions capabilities alongside them. And that's what we're doing. We're continually developing the portfolio that we have, whether it be around sustainable impact, whether it's around security, whether it's around driving efficiencies and workflows. We're very committed to that because we know that our partners need points of differentiation. That allows them to cut through from their competition, and we're very committed to ensuring that they have the full portfolio available to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's been a really great discussion to understand more about what HP is doing, both on the AI side and sustainability. And I think it's very clear that those two areas are very closely linked in terms of providing opportunity, but also challenges for businesses as well. To finish, I wanted to ask you to gaze into your crystal ball, and each of you, if you could share one trend that you think is going to shape the technology industry in 2025.
Well, we've got the Quocirca 2025 crystal ball here on the table, so I'm relying on that to inform me. Look, I do think that the personal computing market will see a significant uptick in demand. There's no doubt about it. The agenda items around security will continue. We're in a world still that has a lot of turbulence and uncertainty in it. So, security is an absolute certainty in both business and of course the wider interests of the population. So we need to make sure that we continue to push that message. But we see economic growth, we see demand growth. But the one final point I will say to anybody is that whether you're interested in procuring technology or you're a partner that might resell technology as well, is always make sure you know your own agenda, you know the proposition that you want to deliver, and make sure that you differentiate through investing in the right technology, but make sure that technology is the right technology today, but ensure that it's future ready for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And that's what generative AI capable PCs and laptops is all about, alongside our more sophisticated advanced computing technology. Really, really important.
I think mine would probably be around, we've spoke about Renew coming to the market and this sort of really fresh suite of solutions for customers. And I think, I'm obviously day in, day out involved in conversations with customers who are excited and, very happy with what comes sort of under the bonnet with HP hardware. The thought that's gone into the design, the thought that goes into the materials, all of that process and the thinking. But I know that the customers I speak to are really interested and excited to have opportunities to make decisions once those devices are with them in use. And I think that is the thing that I'm most excited about, new solutions that give those conversations more dynamism and energy. So we're not just handing them something where we've done all the thinking and it's as sustainable as it can be, but that we can carry on to sort of evolve with our customers and partners together.
Yeah, some great predictions for 2025. And I just want to finish by thanking you both for joining me today. It's been really interesting to hear how HP is bringing together sustainability and AI and driving innovation across its business. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining this episode of In the Spotlight with Quocirca. For more information, please go to quocirca.com and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.